Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sungai. Thank you for watching and thank you for joining me today. This is just my diary for the future, for me to look back and see how far I've come, and also in reflection thought I should share my journey, because life is not perfect and life is a discombobulated mess. Nothing ever works like it should. Nothing ever is where it's supposed to be. And guess what? I survived 37 years in. I'm still here. You got this. Whatever it is, this thing called life, we can all bluff it and do away with it. Anyway, so I'm here just to talk about my journey and what's made me who I am, and realize, and also reflecting on the things that I would at the time thought was the end of the world, but looking back on reflection, they were actually things that have ultimately shaped my life and shaped me the way I am. So let's talk about my parents. Uh, my parents are awesome. They're misunderstood, and to be honest, for a long time I also misunderstood them. They're loving, but then there's some intense, behaviors and stuff. And I think this is all subject to their own experiences that we don't really talk about, because certain things are in our communities we don't talk. But I think as a new generation, we don't need to talk about lack, but we need to constantly talk about our experiences from a healing, so meaning that we have to face them and address them and then heal from them. And from me, so during my journey, and then when I obviously became unwell, and my family was my support system, my core family, my parents and my siblings, but mainly my mom and my dad. And they were here in Scotland. They would go for treatment with me. So they were there until they were getting when they were here all the time. Like, oh, are you supposed to be eating that? Are you supposed to be doing that? Like, oh, micromanaging as usual. But, they excel in that. But one rule I gave them, I was like, I don't want you to be telling your prayer brethrens, I don't want you to be sharing outside this core circle. I want you to respect my journey and respect my thing. I don't want to be explaining to this person and that person who is not me, who does not concern me, why I'm unwell, and why they probably will turn around and say it's a spiritual warfare or whatever else. Everyone has got a discourse. Everyone has an opinion. They always say opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. So sometimes I don't need your opinion. Your opinion is not warranted here unless I ask for it. So me not ask for it. So I don't want them to offer their opinions and ring out my phone when I need to be sleeping and resting and figuring things out. So my parents respected that, and I'm slowly telling my extended family that that's what was the case. But I'm on the other side. So it's not like speaking of lack, and I don't like speaking over it, because I think our words are strong enough. I'm healed. So from a place of healing, my family was, my mom, my parents were there. They were present. They were there for those moments. Dad would say, oh, he loves me, and reassure me that it's going to be okay. Then I'll be like, oh, I need to move, because ideally sedentary will causes more pain, will cause stiffness in the body after any treatment. You need to move. Sometimes, yes, sometimes it's so chronic you can't move the pain. But you have to keep moving, because then if you don't move, sometimes you will struggle to then move in later on, or when you need to move. So when you can, as part of the relief, you need to move. So even now, as part of my treatment, I have decided to start swimming. I have decided to start swimming because I need to release more and I need to move more, but sometimes I might need to be underwater so that I don't feel the pressure. But I am in the gym. Excuse me, I am not understanding this burping business, but I'm now in the gym as always, but I'm now consistently, but I'm not going consistently, but I'm going consistently. It's discombobulated, but sometimes I'll go for long walks after work. so that to refresh my mind, so it gives me time to, because I wouldn't want to be in a closed space after working from home or being in the office. I want to be out in the fresh air, one with nature, and just breathe. And that's my main thing. So it's quite nice. Like today was my first time using my my bike and actually cycling. So I cycled into CE, had lunch, and then cycled back. And then yes, after a while I felt like cool. But the idea that I was outside cycling, it was refreshing. So I think I might do that in the evening after work, because I actually like that today. And maybe go out for a pint. It's nice. It's quite nice up here. It's getting warmer because it's spring, so it's quite nice. So yeah. So on that note, it is refreshing. It is quite nice, and also not holding grudges. But you have to form boundaries. So even when they're getting out of hand, because sometimes they might feel when they come into my home, oh, alcohol or this and that. No. I don't bring alcohol to your home, but because I do drink, we're going to be respectful of what I drink or consume. And sometimes or even if we're eating out, I'll order a wine, so that to break the ice, that we are not going to be talking about this or or trying to tear down and stuff, because that's family, you just want to put everything on the table, like, yeah, nobody's having this conversation about this. At this time, I eat everything. And so now also with their faith, there's some things they're probably not so comfortable eating, because obviously of what is Lent behavior and what they've always known to be true. But it's nothing to do with their understanding of faith now, which is refreshing. But yeah, these are the things that I've been experiencing. So even moving into my flat, I think my parents helped as well, into this flat, not moving to Scotland. Moving to Scotland, it was my ex-boyfriend and my friend Ali that helped me move up here. And moving into this flat, it was my dad. My dad was like, he was in Middlesbrough, and he was speaking to my mom about something, and I'd gone up to see my nieces, and I said, oh, and I had my van with me. So they were like, oh, so who's going to help you move? I was like, oh, I'm just going to help myself move. And they're like, oh, but you go work on Monday. I was like, yeah, I can go in later. And when I was driving back up, my dad was like, we're coming back up with you. I was like, what do you mean? My parents are old. My dad is actually a pensioner. So, and they were like, no, we're coming back up with you. We are going to help you move. We're going to move a few things that we can, but we're going to help you. I was like, but Dad, it's like, no, because there's no one else to help you. So, and we're not doing anything. So we're going to drive from Middlesbrough to Scotland, Dundee, and help you. And I was like, thank you. I didn't ask, but they offered. So you can tell that there are things in place, that they are actually making an effort and being intentional about the time they do spend. And when they do appear in my life, they're being helpful. And I might not need to see the words like, oh, we overreacted in that situation. We don't need to have that conversation. There is works that are already in place, that they are working on it. And yes, there's going to be a lot of things, but they can't fix anything. No parent is perfect. And if we're expecting a perfection in parent, they're trying this out too. They're figuring out how this whole parenting thing is. It's good to criticize as a child, but when you're on the other side, I don't even need to be on the other side to see that it's hard. When I'm spending time with my nieces, listen, I'm the awesome auntie. I'm the auntie from heaven. The heaven has provided an auntie. I'm an auntie. I show up. I pay attention to those little 2-year-olds, 1-year-olds behavior, and I'm engaging in their lala conversations. We are in these conversations together. I'm in there. But guess what? When I leave, I am happy to go. I'm like, goodbye, auntie mode deactivated. Time for me. 100%. That means I'm popping up to the pub after that for a drink. 100%. or I want to shake a leg. Because having small talk with the little humans, because they're quite intense and they're very, very clever. And sometimes you assume because they're small humans, you assume that they're small minds. No, that's nothing to do with the mind. They're using the information, and especially my eldest niece, there's nothing that goes past. She's very alert, and her mind also concludes. So it doesn't just observe the situation and keep quiet. It observes, analyzes, and puts it together. And there was one time I'd gone up to visit my parents in Middlesbrough, and then these antisocial as well behaviors, and they don't have a lot of diversity of people from who are British and black in that area. So they for diasporas, and because we had gone to a playground which is closer to my parents' house, and then they would start acting mad. First I said, you know what, no. And then they start cycling their little bikes inside the playground and whatever, and almost running. I think my niece at the time was 3 years old. Or yeah, and then my youngest niece was in the stroller. So she was really still baby. I don't think she was even 1, or she was going to turn 1, but she was still young. And so the one who was on swings and whatever else is the toddler that can walk, and that's Grace. So she's walking around, and then he's cycling and really fast in there, and I'm like, are you supposed to be cycling that in there? Obviously there's signs there that I say, no, you're not supposed to be cycling in the play park itself. Or I can do whatever I want. Okay, strike 1, calm. And then I was like to my sister, I think we should go. Yeah, I think we should go. How about that? And my little niece kind of felt the energy was off, so she agreed. She didn't persist in playing. She said, okay, let's go. That's why I'm telling you, she's very alert. So we say, let's go. We're going. This is to give you an example that children are very intelligent and very analytical, so you need to be aware of your behavior. So I knew I couldn't swear or really drag this little child, this young person, because they would then be excited and then start acting unruly, and then I would have to handle this. And also I didn't want to put anyone in danger. So I'm risk assessing, and I'm obviously moving away from the situation we're now going. Guess what this little human decides of antisocial behaviors? Caucasian little human decides. He decides to cycle right behind us, and then really and almost runs us over where we are moving out the way. I'm like, am I being bullied by a pitney? Am I? I was like, strike 2. I told my sister strike 2. When it was strike 3, I knew I was going to handle it. I was like, you know what? Let's walk on the grass. Since he wants to be on the pavement, let him cycle up and down as much as he wants. He can do whatever he wants. We just going to move away. Did this little boy start riding on the... Remember, my sister's pushing a stroller. He starts riding behind us and circling us on the grass. I was like, okay. It's already strike 3. I just put my hand out and knocked him right out. Because I braced myself and I just went boom. So I didn't give no warning. I didn't even look back. My niece saw me, and I looked at her and I was like, let's keep walking now. And then she looked like, who is Auntie? I was like, you don't know who she is. Neither do I. She's still in there. So I put in this new young man, and then everyone was like, oh my God. And then we carried on walking now. No one was interrupting us. And from that day, I'm sure that little boy learned his lesson. Like, you don't do that. You don't get to bully people. And also on top of that, people are avoiding you and walking away. You do that. You continue with that behavior. You don't do that. So on that note, later on, my niece wanted to talk about it, but she wasn't talking about it. She goes, Aunt Sherrie doesn't like people who continually being naughty, does she? And my sister was like, no, she doesn't. She goes, why would you say that? This was when they are now back in in Essex. Because you know when that little boy was chasing us on the grass and then even from the park. So she did observe that she was being pressured out of the situation. Yeah, Aunt Sherrie did not like that, did she? No. So why? Why do you say that? Yeah, because she knocked him off the bike, did she? Yes, she did. Yes, I knocked some senses into you. Don't do that. Don't ride too close to me because I didn't run after you. No, I just right there. Brace yourself because you're busy being excited with your bulliness. Even your friends left you, thought, and they even told you to leave us alone. You continued. That's what happens when you're too excited. You get patterns. And also, train up your child how to live with others. So in saying that, we're very alert. Our emotions are alert. We're connected with the universe. And so it does matter what is happening. It does matter what you're doing. It does matter what you're processing and what you're getting into. Everything matters. So any influence I have. So I'm intentional with my time with my nieces, even with my brother's daughter when she was even really young, before she could even walk. I would take her to the play center so that she can learn how others will behave, and she started observing. And because she's biracial, and then when we were in there, I could tell that she could tell that I was an auntie. She would hold on to me. She knows I'm her people. But then when she would see a mixed race person, adult person, she would look at them with fascination. And I could tell that she could tell that that person looks like her. And then when you would look, you're like, hi. And he would start speaking. Obviously, he's a parent for another child. And he'll start speaking to her. And then she'll be looking at him like, yeah, you look like me. And it's strange. And that's that. And then when there would be a black man that looks like averagely my brother's height, you'd be like, oh, Pops, because that's how she calls her dad. And then she would look at him and she would look at him and then she would sit back. She'd be like, no, that's not Pops. But she's not saying that. She'd be like, oh. So she's understanding that in certain environments, there's people that may look like her father that are not her fathers. we navigate that. We're doing stuff together, familiarizing with us, with certain places, allowing her to explore on her own, and then at certain times helicoptering, because obviously she's still young. And now she's a daredevil. She's out here doing the most, and I'm like, yo, auntie needs to catch up. But ideally, I'm intentional. And this is because of the people that were intentional in my life, that were intentional with the time they spent with us, that they were present. They didn't need to do more. But when they were in our presence, we felt it. I felt the love. I felt the intention. I felt the affection. And therefore, going forward is something that I do intentionally. So even if you're my friend, I ain't stupid, baby. I wake up. Sometimes I ignore some of the things because I'm intentional. I'm focusing on the good. And if you are persisting on the bad, I will have to then say, okay, I see you. Obviously, you don't value me. And then I now have to go. And I have to respect myself. Sometimes I might not even give you the position in which to have a conversation, because I think that I respect myself enough to tell myself that I respect more, I deserve more, or I deserve better, because I give out and I expect what I give out, at least some respect. You might not have the opportunity to do as much as I do, but definitely you're gonna respect my time and respect my friendship. So yes, so some people, we just drift away because I'm not going to argue with you about a misunderstanding. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to put on you my expectation of you. I'll just take that back and expect it for myself, and have that expectation for myself and respect myself. So going forward, I just think that in this life, I intend to be intentional. I'm intentional at work. I'm intentional with the cases I work on. I'm intentional with the people I work with and the people I like to work with. Some people are questionable. I'm respectful of myself, because sometimes some people who are questionable, they are being disrespectful. So I'm respectful of myself not to react. And in that, also firmly easing up boundaries, like, maybe that's not the way to go about, because obviously there's always assumptions because of the complexion of my skin, that, you know, if I'm assertive, it comes off as aggressive. How is that aggressive? I'm asserting myself. It's like, no, that's not gonna run. How is not gonna run? And someone says exactly the same way with a different complexion, and that's all. That's asserting our boundaries, and this one is is aggressive. Regardless, but I always say I'm always firm, or sometimes I'll keep quiet, or I will not be a pushover. I will tell you, now that's not going to run. Or I'm not doing that. Yeah. So that everybody knows the expectation and know where they stand. And when something that I need doing, I navigate that. I'm not over analyzing. I'm like, okay, can someone help me with this, or can someone get onto this, or is there something I'm missing? Can someone review this for me? This is our work. We all paid the same wage to deal with the same people. So there's no winning or losing. We are a team. Anyway, so that's where I am. So all these skills in life, they're teaching. They're all lessons, and it's a continuous lesson. And I'm never gonna graduate out of life. The way the graduation works is death. So I'm not there yet, and there's so much for me to learn. There's so much for me to do. And yes, I'm going to just speak on something again, which I spoke about in the beginning of my whole journey with this chapter, or chapter 37 of my life. I have to say, I'm not anti-children, but I'm not here to create children in an environment where there's not two parents. Whether these two parents are appearing as two women or two male and female, I don't care. It brings balance. Two people, that means two views, two experiences that are coming to raise. That's why it's not, we just not having immaculate conceptions that we want a child and or poof, the child appears. That's why that journey doesn't happen. The idea is that, yes, people are being raised by single parents, but look how many people are in therapy. But that means a lot of people are not fully reaching their expectations, because not two people have decided that we're going to create life. And in this creating life, we're going to be intentional about our parenting. And we're going to be slaves for the first 3 years of their life. For the next, after 3 years, and until they're 5, we now need to review that. We probably need to be guardians. And then from when they are that age, from until they're 10 years old, you review that. Now you need to be their confidant. You actually have to alter your parenting style. Why you need to be confident? Because they're going to go through body changes, body dysmorphia. Everything is changing. They're changing. Either as a boy, they're changing as a girl. The boy voice is changing. There's the pores are now opening, and there's all these genetics that are happening. They need a different you to appear. They need a support system. So not so much who's tearing down, as they're trying to figure out how these raging hormones are doing their thing, and why they're even here as menstrual, and why these young men are now, everything is now feeling different, and all these things are they need somebody to talk to. And you've been assigned that job for them to address you, for them to talk to you, and not feel that all you are is a law enforcer. Honey, if I need a law enforcement, we can go to the police. But in that moment, as a parent, you need to show up as that support system, not judgmental. Allow them to, even the things, they'll probably teach you. There's some things you don't understand. Even now, my relationship with my mom, you find that she'll be like, oh, what do you think? And I'm like, huh? And then she'd be like, yeah, what do you think about that? Because I wouldn't know. And there's so many things that are happening. There's more things that are available to us, so I wouldn't know. So what do you think? What do you think? And then I'm like, oh, I've got this burden of this. So our relationship is shifting in a beautiful way. But in that same way, I have to respect her because she's still my mother, because I come from her. And so in that light, you want your children to be gentle with you when the shift change, when the shift happens, when they are more inquiring and they're curious and they're not so much enforceful. Yes, they know stuff. Yes, they have ideas of, like, where I come from. My parents have been together all their life, and we come from them as their children. So from where we're coming from, and my dad's parents were married until 80 something years, until my grandmother passed when he was with her, when she fell in, when she was cooking, because she wanted to cook, although they had a maid, but she wanted to cook for, because it's an art of love. They're in the kitchen together, and then she's not well, and then he's with her, he's holding her, and it's like he's reassuring her. All I know is that my family doesn't know divorce from my dad's side. That's where I'm from. Yeah, we don't know that. So when you're leaving, it don't make sense. But you also have to be okay with making mistakes, because we are a generation of mistake making. We are not marrying people who are like-minded, or sometimes we are marrying for the wrong reasons. At the time, they married for values. They didn't marry for so much external things, but they married for values, and they married when they were young, so they grew up together. So it's different for us, you know, where we are forming ourselves, being fully formed, it's fully healed. Like for myself, I'm 37 now and I'm not married. So by the time I get married, I have no excuse. I've got all these skills and experiences that when I'm going in, we are committing to raising these humans, one or two of them or three of them, and we ain't signing out. That means we have to navigate even the times when you're irritating me. We have to remain focused, and I need to be with someone who revisits, like, okay, let's check in. This is our duty. Just like duty, just like the army, just like royal family, there's duty. Duty, you show up. Whether you're unwell or not, you're showing up. Because that's parenting. You show up. You feed them, even if you don't feel like feeding them. They eat, you don't get to eat. You've manifested them. You look after them until they're old enough to look after themselves. And in this world that we're living in, unfortunately, it seems like we're getting older and older before we are. But we need to also learn until we are ready to leave the nest. However, we also need to learn to let go as parents. Parents need to let go of their children, allow them to be adults. Well, like I'm saying, I became an adult, start making decisions about my spirituality, being okay with discomfort of my parents at 27 years old. So that's 10 years ago from today, when I started doing things, simple things. So by the time I got my ears pierced, I was 30. So when this journey actually began, this is me being a teenager. I did not have the opportunity to find my way. So no, I still don't know who I am. I'm figuring that out, but I know who I'm not. And no one can put that on me. So all to say is that this life is yours. Make mistakes. Figure it out. The sooner you figure it out, the sooner you fall and get up, the sooner you start walking, the sooner you start running, the sooner you start navigating. And now, because you can walk and run, you can fall and get up. You can now navigate all this. You've got all these skills. Now you can ride a bike. And guess what? When you're riding a bike, you may fall. But now that you know that you can get up anytime you fall, wherever you fall, you've got all these skills and all this experience that reassures you that it's okay, I can get up. And then you get up. You dust it off and you move on. And the sooner you know that, you have no obstacles. That means even if you're in business, if it's not going well and it's starting to drown you, you will know when to let go and say, you know what, let it crush, I can get up. And then you figure out how it's crushing. Okay, this is how it crushed, this is how I got here. It's a learning experience. So when you opening it again and then you try again, guess what, you are in a better position than you were when you first started. And without these experiences, you wouldn't be where you are. So the longer it takes you to let go and start again, the longer it takes you to get to where you are. So I'm just going to encourage you that take the risk, let go sometimes, or hold on sometimes, make mistakes sometimes, and do not dwell in the mistakes. Get up. You got this. It's okay. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. It matters what you think of yourself. What do you think of yourself? What is your intentions on some of the things you're doing? What's the intentions on some of the harm you're causing? And can you avoid it? If you can, how can you avoid it? Again, unless you go through it, you will know that that's an issue, and you will know that you need tools to get over it. So I'm just going to encourage every one of you and say that if you're watching this, life is a mess. And even the ones that are polished, they're even a bigger mess. Because it looks polished, but I'm telling you, it's a clutter. It's not what it seems to be. Be okay with messing it up. Be okay with not looking polished. Be okay. And trust me, it's okay. And do not depend on your happiness on somebody. Don't depend your happiness on someone. You got this. Your happiness is your own. Everything that is happening is your own. This journey is your own. You got this. I can't say this anymore than I can say this now. Every single thing in life, in this life that you're living, can be fixed. You don't need to do an extreme anything. You don't need to hate. You don't need to do anything that's harmful. Just know everything that you're going through, you are supposed to go through. Because only until you understand that you're supposed to go through it, you can now have the tools to get out of it. But if you are giving up and saying, this is it, you're failing to see the tools that you can use in this moment to get out of your situation, and to tools that will allow you to go into the next situation, even if that situation may present itself again, for it not to repeat in your experience, at least, because you've now got tools to navigate, to avoid, and you now know what to look out for. So nothing is wasted, nothing is for granted. And if this universe, if this journey, if in this life I'm supposed to be a mother, guess what, I will be one. There is nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do to avoid it. There's nothing I can do to go about it. There's nothing I can do. There is nothing. All I can do is take part. I can't just be docile and watch and learn. No, I actually have to take part. I have to make my own mistakes. In as much as you're going to learn from me, you also need to get out there and make your own mistakes. Figure it out. You need to date for you to find the right person. You need to learn how to speak to the person of the opposite sex, to the person that you like, the kind of person that you like. You need to know how they like to be spoken to. And if it's even idyllic for the rest of your life to speak to the person the way they like to be spoken to. Because in as much as we like things, there's people who got expectations. They've got, can you maintain that? Can it ultimately bring you happiness for the rest of your life? That's it. If you're not taking part, if you're just manifesting and not trying and not trusting your instinct and going into and trying to swim away and trying to pedal or trying to get onto a board and then trying to surf, if you're not trying your manifestation in surfing and you're not getting a board or borrowing a board to get onto the sea, you will not get where you need to be. But you need to take the jump, take the leap. And guess what? you will fail. But you will fall and fail. But now you know what failing is, so that they won't be a problem. You'll be familiar with failing. So now you need to win. To now be familiar with winning. Persistency, resilience, and if you want it so bad, you will have it. Anyway, that is me for the evening. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is my walk of faith in sharing my journey and just telling you it's okay for it to be a mess. And I ain't figured it out. And guess what? I'm still kicking. And because God has spared me life, whatever his name is, he's given me life. He's given me this second chance. I'm not going to wait for a bucket list. I'm going to do my bucket list as I go. I'm not going to wait to postpone it for another year, postpone it for another second. So hopefully in this documentation, you will be seeing my journey, figuring it out. And so be it. And I'm hoping that I stay on top of it. So I'm talking to you in arrears, and then you guys will be communicating with me as we continue this conversation. And guess what? I still ain't figured it out. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. But then you could find a better way of doing it, and you can share that with me, and then I can try that as well. I'm learning from you and you're learning. We are learning from each other. This life is not promised. And get up and try again. Thank you for watching. Bye. I will give you all.